This video is brought to you by the letter N, as in nasty. Where's all that music coming from? So, I was, with me being on a particular work schedule that prevents me from attending spot meets, train shows, what have you. It has me on Trainshow Withdrawal. So to treat my my condition, I sought retail therapy by way of eBay. And I was looking at things, and I was looking at things, and I came upon this, this rather grotesque looking, unfortunate locomotive. The seller didn't specify what type of locomotive it was, but telling from the pictures, it was easily identifiable as an Athearn. And I gather I could be wrong, and it definitely from the 6 axles is an SD locomotive. Definitely not a Jeep. Definitely not an SD 40-2. Definitely not an SD 40 period. Definitely not an SDP 40. So I have to fall back and assume that it's an SD45, and I dig SD45s. They're monsters. But this particular one, oh my God. Telling from the pictures, this was someone else's custom job, albeit, yeah. I mean, they even put this thing in for a headlight. Of course, the horn is missing. There was a poor attempt at installing KD couplers on both the front, but remarkably enough, the stanchions and the railings are all here. Oh my God. So that, that was a definite draw to this unfortunate thing. And it gets better, because I'm going to show you what I saw. I saw it in the pictures, and it's just, look. Look at this mess. Oh my God. And this was a depowered locomotive, and I could tell you, and you could tell right away, that this was a powered locomotive in its previous life, because one, you have the remnants of the motor mounts. We also have powered gear towers. Fortunately, the joints, the worm joints for at each gear tower are here, as are the gear worms. The axles are here, the gears are there, and I could already, this is just wow. 40017. I'm going to look that up and confirm that this is an SD45. Could be different, but I'll let you know in the captions. And the shell feels weighted. I mean, normally, typically, an Athearn shell should not feel, a blue box shell should not feel weighted, but I got news for you folks. This shell, I'm going to remove the shell. I'm going to remove the railings and the stanchions. I'm going to remove the bulb, the bulb lens assembly. I'm definitely going to remove that. Remove the windows, remove everything, and this is going for a nice long bath. So, and let's get into it, shall we? Oh, one other thing about this shell. The mounting holes are broken. I don't have to take a screwdriver. And I don't know what the heck that is. You see that right over here? What is that? I don't know what it is other than going into the trash can. So, be right back. Be right back. Alright. What I thought was tape, it looks like caulking. What was this jerk thinking? What was the previous owner thinking? Which means I'm going to have to do something really drastic to get rid of all that crud. I'm going to think for a second and take care of this off camera. Sorry guys. I'll be right back. So, my suspicions have been confirmed as to what locomotive this is. After marinating in the concoction that I had made to strip the paint off of the shell and off the railings and stanchions, it is indeed an SD45 because this, if you could see very closely, is a C-board shell for an SD45. I mean, I took a lot of the C-board striping off of it, but I mean a lot came off this thing. Excuse me. I mean, not all of the, I don't think all of the paint came off. I think, I mean, I think there may have been an additional coat of paint on this thing. It did soaking in that thing did take some more of that creeping crud that was on the inside of the shell. I can't get. I'm not gonna take the Dremel to it again because it's really close to the walls of the shell, and I don't want to risk damaging this thing because the previous owner had already done enough damage. And when I mean enough damage is that I had to remove there was like a little stirrup at the end of the shell, at each end of the shell rather. I mean one was missing off of each end, so I just snapped it off. What the heck? The previous owner also mangled up where each coupler housing went. I tried to smooth it out somewhat without causing any additional damage, but the real damage done is to the nose. And I'm gonna have to be creative, perhaps. I mean, that little headlight is still there. I'm gonna have to remove it and then take a styrene strip and super glue it over. Uh, this is like really close to the top of the nose. So I am gonna have to be creative about that before I take this to the paint booth. I mean, here's the roof of the cab. It's in fairly good shape. I am going to have to make the hole to put in a new horn. As for the railings and the stanchions, the front and rear railings and stanchions, they were goners. I couldn't save them. As for the railings on each side of the shell of the locomotive, those were salvaged. Some of the stanchions are not salvaged or aren't salvageable. I'm gonna have to see if I have spares. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to call in a few people or just go to eBay and buy the stanchions and wait for that to come. But, you know, it is what it is. So now, after I take care of the nose, I'm going to move on to the frame because, you know, that needs a once over also. And I'm just going to check the bottom of the frame where the motor goes to see if I can get good conductivity from the bottom of the motor. I do have spare Athearn motors. I'm going to use one of the gray flywheel motors that I have because I have a lot of them, and this locomotive was typical of a gray flywheel motor. So I'm gonna fish one out, test it to see if I can, you know, if the frame will actually work with the motor, and clean the frame up and just take care of each gear tower, and I'm going to take care of that off camera. So stay tuned. Alright, so the frame is got a nice new coat of black on it. I already put the new motor on, motor mounts. I've also cleaned both gear towers and the axles. Little trick with cleaning the axles. As you'll see, it's nice and shiny. Um, when I removed the gears from the towers, I put the axles back into the towers, and I didn't snap them closed. I just held each gear tower together, and then took my rotary tool with the steel brush, and then let it do its thing. And now it's, I got a nice clear shine, and this is all. Uh, it was a real stubborn job to get these things clean. I am going to create solder points. This is the rear gear tower. I'm going to create a solder point for when I put in the bulb for the rear of the locomotive. I'm going to create a solder point for each positive gear tower elbow, to put a wire to connect to the top clip. I am going to use a donor clip, which I'm going to cut down to size, create solder points here for the to connect the LEDs, and to connect the connections from each gear tower to the motor. So I'm going to take care of that off camera, but I just thought you might like to see that. Come on, don't be shy. There we are. This is 40% throttle. Now, when I disassembled the whole thing, there was a small screw that was threaded into the frame. This was because the light bracket, and I see the little nubby over here, was removed. This was, let me see if I can dig it up. Where is it? Where did I put it? Yeah, here we are. This was the original bulb. Uh, I'm not particularly keen right now on checking to see if it still works, but we don't throw anything away. But I have the clip over here. I put the screw back in to the frame, connected it to and then here we go. This is 40% throttle. So I'm going to do the rebuild off camera, because you've seen me done this in other videos. So we'll be right back. Alright, so a little bit of an update. So the motor that I had in mind to run this thing, and you saw just a little while ago, this may look like a gold motor, but it's got gray flywheels. This came out of an American GK E60CP that was built like an Athearn, but really isn't an Athearn. But it had Athearn tooling, and I replaced that motor. This was its original motor, and I replaced it with a 280 motor that I had bought from AliExpress. That is running pretty decent. It's running good, not great, but I'm still learning about model railroading, with soldering, wiring, and all that fun stuff. So fortunately, I had a spare gray flywheel motor, because I don't want to put a gold motor in a locomotive that really isn't, that I don't know it's going to go the next day. So right now I have my last gray flywheel spare motor running around the layout. working out its current draw because it is dancing around. So I'm just letting it shake its sillies out, and you probably just saw it in the background. Uh, so I'm gonna let this thing run. I've got it running at a pretty high throttle because it has been a while since that gray flywheel had been running. Um, Lights, I'm not ready to put that in yet. I may do the light installation off camera, who knows. Um, Test it with its lights. Um, so, as soon as I get that sorted out, I'm going to put the lights in and then move on to the shell. Um, as for the shell, hold on one second. Maybe I can convince it to run it with its shell on. Hold on, shell on. Hold on. Now then, as for the shell, here it is, painted in primer. I used, what was it? Rust-Oleum bonding primer, because it works pretty good. And now, in the introduction of this video, I did tell you that the clips on the shell were gone, were just mostly broken. I had thought about using a 3D printer pen, my 3D printer pen, to try and like make make the mounting hole. But apparently there isn't enough. Um, the It was too small. The Whatever I needed to print was too small, so it didn't hold. So the engineer side of the shell, the mounting holes are just gone. But as for the fireman side, there was enough left, and I used super glue and super glue gel, not super glue gel, and I put on uh, nine. Hold on a second. Sorry, I was dealing with a bit of a runny nose. So I used nylon washers. And the reason why I used nylon washers was if I had used metal washers and I coupled this to the shell, there would have been a risk of a short circuit. I can't say that it's true. I can't say that it's false. I just didn't want to take the chance. So, let me see. So this is the fireman side. And my luck, these washers are going to break off. And if they break off, it is what it is. Well, seems to work. And I didn't have to chant Om Shanti Shanti. So, for now, it works. Who knows? If I put this shell back on, it could break off. The washers could break off. Who knows? I have crummy luck. But for now, they work. You know, there's nothing ventured, nothing gained, but I ventured and I gained. How do you like that? So, I'm going to move on to putting LEDs on this girl. Who knows? Let's see if this thing, if it'll actually work with lights. Be right back. So, this is what I've done with the shell. Yes, I did, I am a huge fan of Unstoppable. Um, and I mean, there is quite the cult following for the movie because it's trains. And there are people out there who do custom make, or they just bash locomotives to simulate the locomotives from the fictional railroad depicted in the movie. So I got a little creative, and the road number is a variation or just or deviation off of the SD40-2 in the movie. That road number was 1206, so I moved the one over. I used Microsoft Paint to get the to move the one over to next to the 6. And it was, I know the stripe on the conductor side doesn't go all the way to the cab, but this is my locomotive. And yes, SD45s were not depicted in the movie, but again, folks, this is a kit bash. I mean, this is a fantasy. Wasn't easy to do the yellow and black safety stripes. I'm not perfect. I'm not looking to put this into a competition. The stanchions. Well, on the subject of the railings and the stanchions, these are the original railings, and most of the stanchions are from the locomotive, from that shell. I mean, some railings were just missing. Fortunately, I had a couple of spares. There were a couple of mounting holes that were just gone. It just totally useless. As for the front and rear railing and stanchions, those were gone. I mean, one of the front, either both the front and the rear, or just one of them, they weren't the actual thing. They were handmade, sloppily handmade. Don't ask me to make my own railings and stanchions. I'm just as clumsy a fool myself. Fortunately, I had spare railings and stanchions. The yellow that I used, hold on a second. Yep, sorry to keep you waiting. I used Apple Barrel brand Yellow Flame, and the railings and stanchions were dry brushed, and that was something of a technique I picked up while cruising YouTube, and the I guess the Warhammer crowd, or the combat, these war game players, hobbyists. There were one or two videos about dry brushing. So using a makeup brush, very thin makeup brush. I just dry brushed the railings and stanchions to safety yellow. The air vents, I used, where is it? Hold on 1 second, folks. All right, let me backtrack a second. Before I get to the vents, as far as the color of the locomotive itself, and it may not be the same as the color that's depicted in Unstoppable. It's close enough. It's my locomotive. I used folk art enamel, Focus True Blue, gloss acrylic paint. I think I picked this one up either in Walmart or in Ocean State Job Lot. Getting to the vents, I used Pavement by Apple Barrel. This I got off of Amazon. And I believe I dry brushed the vents. It came out pretty nice. I also dry brushed the steps. And it came out pretty good. Of course, that's just basic black. But it came out pretty good. I'm a happy camper. So my next phase is to join the shell to the frame with the guts of the locomotive. So we'll be right back. Oh, before I do that, this locomotive is going to complement this beast. This is an FP45, or an F45 rather, that started out as a dummy locomotive that I picked up at a swap meet. Last I attended one months ago. And with help from a friend, I got the powered gear towers and put everything together, put a motor in, and I painted the shell. Yeah, it's not perfect. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. This is mine. I'm not entering this thing into a contest. But it came out pretty good. And the same friend who got me the powered gear towers also got me the stanchions and the headlight lens and the portholes. So, be right back. Well, it looks like we've got ourselves a runner. She's running at 45% throttle. You know what? I gotta bring you over to the transformer. Hold on a second. There we are. Yeah, so she's running with what appears to be 10 volts of power. current draw is a little fluky, but I'm sure with a few laps around the endurance track, she'll sort that out. But I mean, it's not like it's going to pursue 777. So I'm gonna let this thing work its kinks out, and then we'll lash her up to some cars, see how well she pulls. Be right back. Alright, so change of plan. I've reassigned the tracks. Yeah, I moved everything over to different main lines because for whatever reason the SD45 was just not having it with the endurance main line. So 6776 is now on the endurance main line, while 2061, is that what I numbered it? Yeah, 2061 is on the inner DCCEX main line. And yeah, she is running a little bit fast, but we'll just green sheet it. That's what they did. That's what Chris Pine was going to do in the movie anyway, so. And 6776 has got quite the load. But she's pulling. Which ain't bad. So let's go around. Well, I'm a happy camper. I am giving this restoration a B plus, and I am being a little bit hard on myself because I am my own worst critic. Could it be an A minus? It could be, but it isn't. Because for whatever reason, it just didn't like these cheapo Bachmann switches on the Endurance mainline. But, I mean, even though I did do the gear truck trick that was posted at one time by Matt Lentz over at Elite 194. But there are no hassles here on this main line, even though there are, I think, a couple of switches on the wall side of the layout. But you know, with that being said, I'd like to thank my subscribers for the continued support. If you are not a subscriber, there is a link at the bottom right-hand corner. Please like this video. Please share this video. Please help me hit the 300 subscriber mark. And as always, thank you so much for stopping by. I'll see you soon.